Today I want to give you guys a tour of my new creative studio and talk about how I've intentionally brought together the space to fit my needs as a filmmaker, an editor, and as someone who easily gets distracted. So for the past 10 years, I've been working as an independent/freelance filmmaker. And during that time, apart from a couple months, I've never had a dedicated space to work. It's always been in the corner of my bedroom, the corner of our living room, in the middle of our railroad apartment in Brooklyn. So moving into this space, this new 2-bedroom apartment, I was really excited to turn this room into my first ever dedicated workspace. Naturally, I overthought everything to the point of anxiety, but through several iterations, I found something that works for my needs. And those needs include getting work done in a distraction-free environment, creating multiple backdrops for filming, and having a place to store all my camera gear, including a charging station for all my cameras and accessories. Yes, I am a minimalist, and yes, I have a lot of camera gear. So the first thing I did was paint this wall a dark charcoal. The exact color is called Benjamin Moore's Nightfall. I was initially going to have a mural painted here. I experimented with having some artwork on this wall, but it all felt a little bit too cluttered for my videos. So for now, I've decided to just keep it totally clean. The main use for this setup is to film videos and interviews, but I do write and meditate and relax from here. It's nice to have a space where I can kind of get away even when I'm at home. What's really become my main backdrop for filming is this one right here, this white backdrop that I've created. I wanted to create a space that gave me a little bit of depth, some distance from the wall by having a table in the middle of the room. I like having a table, it gives me something to lean on because I'm very unstable. And no, it's been good. I really like it. Having a wide angle, fast lens has been great to create that blurred background. I think it just fits my aesthetic, especially a lot more than the charcoal wall, although I do like that as well. Since the space is pretty small, I wanted the option to move things around, so I got this table with wheels from CB2. That way I can swing it into the middle of the room and do any of my direct on-camera talking head stuff for videos. And then when I'm done, I can tuck it away against the wall. I think the most difficult thing about being both a minimalist and a filmmaker is that as a minimalist, I only want to bring things into my space that mean something to me, that have a purpose, that I really enjoy and I really like. But then as a filmmaker, I also want character. I want to create a space that looks good on camera. If this backdrop behind me was completely white, for me, I just wouldn't like the look of it. It would just be boring. So I had to come to a compromise, and it took me a really long time to try to find the right pieces for this environment. But eventually, I got to a place where I was pretty happy. The solution was to create this white wall with mostly white objects. On this shelf, I've got some of my favorite books, a speaker, which serves a practical purpose but also looks cool, and naturally, a framed photo of The Rock. 2 framed maps, one of Sydney, where my wife is from, and another from NYC, where we met. Okay, let me tell you guys about some bullshit. So I was on this Etsy store, I think it was called Mappery, and they had a Sydney map, and then I'm looking through and I'm trying to find a New Jersey map. That's where I'm from, if you can't tell from the accent. And I couldn't find it. They didn't have it. They didn't even have Lebanon Township, the town I grew up in. So disappointing, yes. I don't know what that says about New Jersey. I'll just wait to see you guys say horrible things in the comments, unless you're from there as well, in which case we can get a Stromboli together later. But I had to just settle for New York, which is fine. New York's cool, but it's nothing like Jersey. Oh, and I did remove the glass/plastic from the frame and put it behind the photo. That way I don't get any glare or reflection in my videos. I've got my desk, which I placed in this corner because it makes for a better backdrop for my videos. I've got my Shure SM7B mic set up so I can record voiceovers for my videos. Since I have a lot of hard drives, that means I also have a lot of cables and wires and outlets that I need plugs for. So one of the biggest problems that I've had in terms of organization over the past few years has been all of these wires and cables that go along with filmmaking. They would get crazy cluttered underneath my desk, tangled up. Whenever I needed to remove one or replace it with another drive, it would be a complete mess and it would just frustrate the hell out of me. But I finally came to a solution that I was really happy with. I got this desk from Artifacts. It's not cheap, but it's really well made and I love the design. It's got this clever grid that keeps all of my cables, wires, and surge protector completely organized and out of sight. One other way that I keep my space nice and clean is by having a system for organizing all my papers and receipts. Whenever I have documents come in, I'll usually set them to the side for about a week and then batch them together. I'll be taking photos of them, either uploading them to Dropbox or FreshBooks if it's a receipt, and then I recycle them. There's no need for me to hold on to them unless it's a really important document. I don't need to have the physical copy of everything. My real secret, though, as you might have guessed, is not owning a lot of stuff to begin with. I usually only keep around 10 books at a time, and I regularly donate them or give them away to family or friends when they start to pile up. Apart from these 2 toys, I don't have any knickknacks in my studio. The one thing that I do own a lot of is gear. There will be times when it will pile up, it'll be on my desks, it'll be left out for a couple days. It usually takes 15 or 20 minutes for me to grab everything and organize it in its place. And that place is my closet. I decided to lay out my stuff on this pegboard for a few reasons. One, I thought it would look cool as a backdrop in some videos. And 2, I thought it would be kind of neat to make my stuff become my decor. I really don't like the idea of decor, stuff that you buy just to fill space. And while I'm guilty of doing that to a certain degree, like with the white wall, I thought this would be a clever way around it. And thirdly, it's just convenient. I can quickly access my gimbal, cables, tripod plates, and GoPros when I need them. I organize all my lenses on this shelf here. Below my lenses are some messy shelves that I will eventually create a more orderly solution to. On the other side of my closet, I have a printer. Now, I didn't always have a printer, and I got this primarily for when I do shoots, and especially when I do interviews. I used to have my laptop out with me during interviews, and it always felt like a bit of a distraction. I didn't like the fact that I was looking down at a screen to check my questions or to even write notes. So now I have this printer. For the longest time, I'd go to FedEx and print out a copy every time I needed it, but doing that every single week was a pain in the ass. So this convenience has saved me a whole lot of time. I keep my cameras fully built on this shelf. Below them is my favorite thing about my studio, and probably the dorkiest thing, my charging station. I've got chargers for 2 cameras, a drone, my gimbal, and GoPros, and even my Fitbit and Kindle. I love this setup so much because of its convenience. I no longer have to wrangle with cables and search for empty outlets, and I never get confused about which batteries are charged and which aren't. Dead batteries either go on this shelf or straight on the charger, and then when they're charged, I put them in this drawer below. Since no batteries ever go in the drawer until they're charged, I never get confused, and I easily get confused. Now, you might not be a filmmaker, but it's systems like this that keep me organized and efficient. Maybe there's something like this that you can implement into your own life, especially your work life. If you want to learn about how I organize my personal life, check out my video, Decluttering for Messy People. I've got a lot of tips and hacks and tricks that have really helped me out a lot. The rest of these drawers are filled with gear. I have a drawer for microphones, podcast gear, my drone, vlog accessories, and yes, I do have one multi-purpose junk drawer. I chose to get smaller drawers here so I could keep things organized into smaller categories. If the drawers were too big, they would quickly become cluttered and wouldn't serve their real purpose. There are 2 black bins at the bottom of the shelf, one for additional extension cables and wires, another miscellaneous bin that stores extra lens caps, camera cleaning tools, and those random accessories that come with cameras that you need once every 2 years. Then I've got hard drives. Lots and lots of hard drives. This is 10 years of freelance projects stored on over a dozen drives. These hard drives have more than 30 terabytes worth of footage. I know, it's insane. So there's gonna be a project of mine soon in the future, probably, I hope at some point in the future, where I go through and organize all this stuff. Maybe I delete the stuff that I don't need, organizing it onto newer, bigger drives, or maybe I could just let go. Nah. I keep my stands and tripods tucked into various corners of my closet, and I usually keep my aperture light dome set up at all times because I'm lazy. And that right there is my minimalist workspace. But coming up, things will change, as they always do. I'm actually going to be moving into a co-working space, to help collaborate with future employees that I hire, which is super exciting. But that means that this space is probably gonna go through a couple more iterations, probably a little bit more centered around how do I turn this more into a filming environment than an editing environment. But that's part of the process. It's not perfectionism, it's betterment. It's just continually trying to make things better, God, is that a word? Trying to improve, trying to get better, trying to make better things. And I think that's something, if there's any lesson, there's always got to be a lesson in one of Matt's videos. The lesson would be just keep trying to do better. Thanks for watching. See you next time.